Hello guys, welcome to a new video on Tower of God New World, and in this video I'm going to give you my first impression on Ice Spear, KHUN Aguerro and Revolution Bomb. I'm going to start with KHUN, and I will mention that this guy has some damage potential, but as all SSR units, they will eventually fall off as you push higher floors and higher deficits as compared to the SSR Plus and above units. That's just how it is. I'm pretty sure he can do a good job at low floors and low deficits for sure. So if you are a new player, he could still do the DPS role just fine. He is not too bad on that front. But this guy also has a lot of utility and a lot of good stuff in his kit. He has energy decrease in Revolution, he has HP recovery block, he has magic decrease, he has defense shred. Really good stuff, and also swiftness decrease. So lots of things in his kit, and I think that this unit is pretty solid. His major downside, let's say, is that he's a close range unit, so survivability could potentially be a problem. So the harder you push, the weaker this guy becomes. But if you can keep him alive, then it definitely brings a lot to the table. Really solid unit. I would say we can go over the skills. And the passive is a bit weird. Without the exclusive equipment, it's just a one-time thing that at the start of the battle is going to dash to the enemy that's farthest away, and is going to put up a barrier and deal some damage. Also applying frost on all enemies along the path for 5 seconds. Now this frost application is not clear at a glance, especially not from the passive, what it does. If we take what's written in the special move as an example, because we also here see that it's going to inflict frost on the enemies that reduces their defense by 40%. So we could kind of imagine that this frost on the enemies is a 40% defense shred. We have no real ways to tell. Unfortunately, this game doesn't really explain status effects or anything, so it's difficult to tell, but it should be like that. And this guy is immune to status effects while using this skill. Pretty simple. There is nothing else to the passive, which is a bit underwhelming, but it's okay. Then we have the first active skill, Ring of Ice. This is also not the best of skills. It's going to create a barrier for 14 seconds again, like the passive, and is going to also create a ring of ice around himself, dealing percentage of his attack as damage every second to nearby enemies. And while the ring of ice is active, magic pierce increases by 40%. So this is buffing his own damage. That's good, as I mentioned in the earlier stages of the game, but it will be kind of irrelevant at a certain point. It will be super annoying when you face him as an enemy, but for you, when you use this unit, is kind of whatever. Then we have Frozen Rampage, the other active skill, and is going to attack 4 times, reducing the enemy magic resistance by 10% for 12 seconds, starting at 6 on level 1, with a max of 4 stacks, so up to 40% magic resistance shred. Overall, this is a good debuff. Not the best we have. We have a lot of units that decrease it by 80% or something. So 40% is not the best, but it's still a nice shred to have. Then we have the special move where most of his value comes from. And he's going to throw an ice spear at the furthest enemy, dealing damage. Okay, we don't care about that. Inflicting frost for 4 seconds, pretty short duration. That reduces their defense by 40%. And creates an ice zone. This ice zone is what's important. It's going to last for 7 seconds and deal a lot of percentage attack as damage every second, reducing enemy swiftness by 60. It starts at 40, I believe. So that's pretty solid. It's a good swiftness decrease, but what's good is not written in the skill. It's written somewhere else in the exclusive equipment and Revolution. And yeah, it becomes immune to status effects while using the skill, as usual. As most of the things, they give you invincibility, or well, not invincibility, immunity to status effects, so that they cannot be interrupted. Now, if we look at the exclusive equipment, we can see how this whole kit gets improved, because right now you might say, okay, this kind of sucks. There is a one-time passive, there is this kind of damage which gets like overshadowed by the amount of buffs that the enemies have. This magic resistance shred that is okay, but not that insane. There are other units that have better debuffs. This one that is an okay defense shred, but again, pretty short. So there is not much to it. Now, if we look at exclusive equipment, things change a bit. We have Piercing Spear is announced, reducing the swiftness of enemies hit by 40 for 8 seconds. Okay, fine. That's another source of swiftness decrease, which is always good to have. Level 2 is improving the Frozen Rampage from 10% per stack to 15% per stack, which is a good increase. It's up to 60% now, a lot better than before. And then we have level 3. After you use the special move, you will immediately activate Piercing Spear, which is the passive. So again, more frost application, more swiftness decrease, really good. And then we have level 4, which is super important. Heist Zone is announced, blocking the HP recovery of enemies in range while it is active. This is pretty massive. Unfortunately, the range is not that big, but still super valuable. Every source of HP recovery block is really, really important. So yeah, the exclusive equipment is really good on this guy. But we also have Revolution, which adds some important effects. So let's have a look at that as well. And we have the level 4, damage dealt to enemies afflicted by frost ignores 80% of their defense. I tried it out in Arena Simulation to try and see if it worked on damage dealt by other units. I couldn't be like 100% sure, but it seems like it's not affecting other units' damage. So it's only damage dealt by KHUN AGUERO, which is disappointing. If it was every single unit, then that would have been great, but kind of, I don't know, weird. So I really don't know what to say about this Revolution 4. It could even be applied to everyone, just that the duration is so short, I couldn't see it in Arena Simulation. So I cannot be 100% sure about this. If it's applied to everyone, then that's amazing. Because in Arena Simulation, swiftness is 0, so units really attack so slow that a 5-second debuff is nothing. But in a normal setting, especially when you start spamming special move and then resetting the passive, etc., 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 then you will apply this defense shred with a reasonable uptime, and that would be amazing to have on all damage dealt by your team. But if it's only on KHUN AGUERO, it's kind of irrelevant. But then we have Revolution 5, which is really, really strong. Heist Zone, other than decreasing swiftness and blocking HP recovery, is also going to reduce energy by 200 every second. This is really, really good as well. So great effects on Revolution 2. This is more or less my first impression on this guy. He's really solid, provides a lot of utility, so if you can keep him alive, he's a really nice addition to a lot of teams. And yeah, that's more or less it. We can go over BAM now. And I don't know about this guy. I mean, I used him quite a bit. He can deal a lot of damage, but he really needs a lot of investment. That's more or less the thing for every unit that I now have to test out. I cannot really say this guy functions properly a lower investment, like 3 red or something, because the kind of team compositions and the kind of units I'm using right now, they are all maxed out more or less in terms of dupes. So it's hard for me to compare him a lower investment. So I always have to quickly work my way up and try to dupe him up to see exactly how valuable he is. I will say that is not bad. On paper, his kit is super great. He's lacking attack increases, which you can kind of make up with team composition. There are some good supports in blue that increase attack a bit, so it's not the end of the world if he doesn't have any in his kit. We have to remember that mages have the 120% from Revolution, so that's still fine. He has a lot of defense shred, pierce, special move pierce, and also magic resistance decrease. He has a really good kit. The damage numbers seems to be there, but then in practice, it couldn't kill enemies that quickly. I don't know if it's an issue about team building or whatever. I will try to figure that out. Is solid, just it doesn't have the insane burst that a unit like White or Kaiser, maybe even Viol have. I don't know why I mentioned Viol there, but whatever. So his burst is not too high. His damage is cool, but I don't know. I feel like it should be higher. And when we go over Revolution, I will also share with you some information that is a bit disappointing, but we'll see. So he's a good unit, but he's not a necessary one. He's not like as good as a White. I wouldn't consider him a must pull. It's just an okay DPS if you wanna go for him. It's fine, but you don't have to feel the need to from just a first impression. Now let's just go over the skills and see what he has. The passive is pretty solid. He's going to activate Orb Defense Mode at the start of the battle, blocking one skill attack. And whenever you block a skill, he's going to deal 200% of his attack as damage to that enemy, silence them for 3 seconds, and then reactivate the defense mode after 4 seconds. When BAM HP falls below 40%, he becomes invincible for 4 seconds, uses the passive and recover HP equal to 80% of his max HP. And this doesn't say it only applies once, but it seems like it does, and that's pretty obvious. So yeah, this only activates one time per battle, and after that you're going to get like this additional effect here. Until the end of the battle, when using skills to attack an enemy, damage is applied with the target's magic resistance reduced by 50%. Now this is okay, at least you can go full damage on him and still have some sort of invincibility and still be able to survive without having to rely on resistances, which is good. But yeah, it's not the best of skills. It's nice that every 4 seconds you block one skill. That's definitely helpful. Unfortunately, when that effect procs, you still get 1 damage, so you lose the 4-piece L. And this effect here that's applied after you trigger this effect is a bit annoying, and we're also going to see about the revolution effect. That's super annoying because not always this guy is going to be hit. Most fights with the right positioning, this guy won't even be hit at all. He has a lot of invincibility frames in all these skills, so it's a bit tricky to trigger, and that will make his Revolution 5 a bit shitty, but we're going to cover that in a second. For now, the passive is okay. Additional survivability and a bit of utility, not too bad. Now we have True Blue Horror, the first active skill. Is going to become invincible while flying and shoots the Shinsu cannon 8 times at a random enemy, dealing 300% of his attack and his damage, and reducing the enemy defense by 30% for 20 seconds, max 8 stacks. That's a shit ton of defense shred. Really, really good. You could even use him just as a like debuffer. He has some good stuff in his kit, but it's mainly the defense shred, nothing too important. He's then also going to descend rapidly, dealing 800% of his attack as damage to nearby enemies, knocking them back. That's pretty solid. He also has this attack here, the second active skill. I'm not going to read the name, it's too long. He's going to teleport to an enemy, absorbing Shinsu and pulling them into a fan-shaped area. immobilizing them for 4 seconds. So a bit of crowd control, a bit of grouping, not too much. The area is not that big, but still, it's okay. And then it's just going to deal a bit of damage and return to a starting position. Overall, nice ability, not too insane, but it's definitely nice. Then we have the special move, again, super long name, I'm not gonna read it. It's going to become invincible, summon a triple orb to cast Stardust that causes a star explosion in the area with the most enemies, dealing 600% of bomb attack as damage 3 times. The multiplier is already quite good here. Sending enemies airborne for 3 seconds, good CC. And leave debris for 20 seconds, dealing 300% of attack as damage every second to enemies within the area, max 3 of them on the same place. That's a lot of damage. Well, not on the same place, but max 3 of them in the battlefield. That's a lot of damage. The area is also quite big. Unfortunately, it's all damage over time. If the enemies have sustain, that's gonna be a bit shitty. Let's have a quick look at the exclusive equipment too. We have crit damage increase as an effect here, which is okay because mages have increased crit rate in the revolution, so that's totally fine. Then we have True Blue Horror is enhanced, increasing attack coefficient by 100% each time the Shinsu cannon strikes the same target. Amazing in single target, kinda shitty in most other scenarios, but still okay, still a good damage increase. Then we have the dash that groups enemies is going to grant invincibility too. So all of his skills have invincibility frames. That's pretty good. We have the cooldown of True Blue Ore resets when hit by a melee attack. The cooldown resets, does not activate again for 8 seconds. Also okay because this skill, as all the others, have invincibility. So you're hit once, you're going to cast it and be invincible. So that's kind of okay. Then we have level 4, which is kind of meh, I would say, because this only procs when you go below 40% HP and you trigger the invincibility. Because like this is just a one-time effect. It's kind of meh. You're going to recover 1000 energy and reduce the remaining cooldown for each active skill by 80%, which is almost resetting the cooldown of your active skills and have you cast the special move immediately. Is that going to be super important? Not really. And as it's only once is a bit weird. I don't know. It's still better than nothing, but it's not that great. It would have been better if it could like proc it over and over again, like every time it blocks a skill with the defense orb, as I thought initially during the live stream. But this seems to only be when he uses the power of Thorn Awakened. And if we read the passive, it states here, uses Thorn Awakened. It's only stated here. The first part is just Orb Defense mode. It is part of this Thorn Awakened passive, but here it says uses. And here you see using the power of Thorn Awakened. So these only procs when you go below the percentage. So again, it's a one-time thing, not the end of, like, not the best thing, but whatever. Now let's quickly go over Revolution as well. We have Revolution 4, which is interesting, but whatever. You're going to reduce swiftness of enemies hit by the special move by 40% and move speed by 30% with a max of 3 stacks. This is a substantial swiftness decrease on the enemies and a substantial movement speed decrease. Good overall to reduce the spamming abilities of the enemies. So it's okay. In my opinion, a bit underwhelming for a Revolution 4 of an SSR Plus unit, but still good. It is a good debuff. Not much to say. Now we have Revolution 5, which I hoped was better, because Iris says Thorn Awakened increases magic pierce by 30%, special move pierce by 40%, and damage lifesteal by 80% until the end of the battle, and it cannot be removed with buff removal skills. These would have been great if it was always active. Unfortunately, this requires the activation of the Thorn active, so this part here, the fact that you have to go below 40% HP. That's the requirement for that revolution. I tried it in our arena simulation and that seems to be the case. And you will notice, because as soon as you go below that percentage and the passive procs, you will see those icons added. So the special move pierce icon, the magic pierce icon, and the lifesteal icon added to your buff bar. That's pretty sad from my point of view. It should have been 100% up all the time. This is just too strict of an activation requirement. And I will say that most of the times, as far as I use them, like in most fights, it never went below 40% HP. He usually can stay alive quite well. So the fact that this Revolution 5 never gives me value, or very rarely, is super disappointing for me. So yeah, I would say Revolution, you could even stop a Revolution 4. That's an actual possibility. You will still have to go to Revolution 6 sooner or later, because you need the special move pierce, you need the crit damage increase, you need the attack. So saying that you can stay a lower Revolution is not really realistic, but it's so disappointing that not having it would be more or less the same. So yeah, I don't know. That Revolution 5 is probably the most disappointing thing about this guy's kit, because for the rest, it is not bad. You can definitely notice though the damage increase after it procs the passive. But yeah, I don't know. It is fine, but should have been a lot better. I really hope they kind of rework his Revolution 5 at the very least to make it active 100% of the time. But yeah, I don't really want to sound so underwhelmed by this guy. I was really hoping for him to be released and for KHUN AGUERO too. Pretty happy about KHUN AGUERO, but unfortunately they didn't really do BAM's justice so far. It works at my deficit, but again, my deficit is not high. If you saw my live stream, you know, it was like 230-ish to 50 maybe, I don't know. But yeah, not high. So a bit disappointing. He can still get the job done, just not as well as I hoped. That's more or less it. Let me know in the comments what you think about this guy, if you have any other thoughts, if you figure some nice combos. And I will close with this. This guy, like the fact that he has to fall below a certain HP threshold also kind of restricts the supports that you want to run with him. If you run Albilda, that's way too much like invincibility on this guy for him to be actually going below that 40%. So you want units that either provide invincibility after is below 40%. For example, Anniversary War Revolution 5 only procs below 5%, I believe. I don't remember, but should be around that. Or some other units. If you protect this guy too much, you're losing out on a lot of damage. That's one of the things that really make me wonder what the hell is going on here. But yeah, the good thing is that even without good protection, he still has a lot of invincibility in his kit that can keep him alive long enough. So that might actually be a good thing, I don't know. Let me know in the comments, guys, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.